which is this radical redistricting that would have 5 congressional districts all terminating in one county across a 20-mile radius. You can drive for 15 minutes in Northern Virginia through Fairfax County and be in 5 different congressional districts.
Now here's where it gets even crazier. They bring up Eric Holder, and their argument just falls apart.
Those districts then stretch all the way downstate. It's not a small state. All right, I'm done with this guy. How about Eric Holder? Eric Holder, former Attorney General, Barack Obama's wingman. You'll remember that. Well, he left his time as Attorney General, became a very well-paid D.C. lawyer, and now he heads up a political action committee that for years has done this in state after state after state. What's this? This is going in and convincing the lawmakers in every state to redistrict using computer models to maximize Democrat representation in the House of Representatives.
Eric Holder, Obama's Attorney General, runs a PAC that literally uses computer models to maximize Democratic seats in every state. That's the game.
That's the Political Action Committee. That's what he's in charge of. That's what he gets paid gajillions to do. And trust me, he had that job well before Texas started it by redistricting last year. So here is Eric Swalwell with theater kid Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation.
Historically, the president's party doesn't usually do well in the midterm races. So why do Democrats need to do this? I mean, it sounds like it's acknowledging that the Democratic Party can't win on its own, that it has to go through these measures.
The Democrats can certainly win if it's a fair fight. And the question I have...
It wasn't going to be a fair fight in Virginia?
If you're enjoying my reaction, like and subscribe for future ones.
No, it wasn't going to be a fair fight nationally if you try to steal seats in Texas, in North Carolina, and in Missouri. And so the question I have for people who are critical of that which we're doing is, what were we supposed to do? Nothing? Just allow them to try to stack the deck, to try to steal seats? And all we're trying to do is meet them and try to make the system as fair as it possibly can be.
All right, so understand the language that was just used here, because Margaret Brennan didn't, and certainly didn't push back on it because, well, she's a theater kid operative for the left. But I actually listen to the words people use and try to scrutinize their political arguments. He's comparing the Texas redistricting with the Virginia redistricting. Okay, I guess that's an apples to apples comparison. So listen to the words he uses to describe each.
We're critical of that which we're doing is, what were we supposed to do? Nothing? Just allow them to try to stack the deck, to try to steal seats?
See, Texas and Republicans, they stacked the deck and they stole seats. Okay, well, what are Virginia Democrats doing?
And all we're trying to do is meet them and try to make the system as fair as it possibly can be.
Listen to the language. When Republicans do it, they're stealing seats. When Democrats do it, they're making the system fair. And that's the hypocrisy right there.
There you go. See, when Republicans do it, they're stealing seats. When Virginia Democrats do it, they're just making the system as fair as it can possibly be. And here is the map that we're talking about. That map on top is actually incredibly fair. Virginians just about 5 years ago voted to have an independent commission come up with the redistricting to take the politicians out of it. And they did a very good job. The fact of the matter is, Virginia is, in fact, a purple-leaning blue state. They have 11 congressional districts. However, they're not Massachusetts. They're not Hawaii. They're not nothing but Democrat and blue. I mean, we just had Republicans win statewide as the governor and the lieutenant governor and the attorney general in 2021. So clearly, Virginians vote for Republicans now and then. So this makes sense. On top, you've got 6 districts that are represented by Democrats and 5 represented by Republicans. Now look at the new map. It would just leave 1 Republican. And the entire eastern side of the state, if you look, every single district terminates in that little quadrant in the upper right. That's Fairfax County, Alexandria, Arlington, right across the Potomac from Washington, D.C., all the Democrats who work in the government.
And here's the map. Every single district terminates in Fairfax County. You can drive 15 minutes through Northern Virginia to be in 5 different districts. That's not redistricting. That's a power grab.
That's what that is. That's restoring fairness if you're a Democrat. And I didn't hear Margaret Brennan pushing back on it. By the way, I just mentioned the Republican governor that was elected in 2021. His name's Glenn Youngkin, and he's been campaigning on this measure as well, trying to get people to vote no.
2016, when Eric Holder, right when he got out of the Obama administration, started the Democrat Redistricting Commission. And then in 2022 and again in 2024, they pressed to pick up seats in New York. But with all that said, it's about Virginia. And Virginia in 2020 held a constitutional referendum, amended our Constitution to have nonpartisan independent redistricting. 2/3 of Virginians said we want politics out, politicians out. And now we have Abigail Spanberger saying she's going to ignore the voice of Virginians, override them, and try to adopt the most gerrymandered map in America. Today we have what is assessed as the fairest map in America. I don't love it. It's 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans, but it's fair. And she wants to override it and turn it into the most gerrymandered map in America. It's wrong. Virginians should stand up and vote no tomorrow.
Do you think that?
All right, and we sure hope that people do that. That was this morning, Governor Youngkin on Fox News Channel. Democrats are doing another thing here with this. They're trying to play racial politics with this, all right? And I want you to take a look at this video here. This is one of those Zoom podcasts that I guess gets written off as professional in certain circles. The gentleman in the upper left with the red tie, that's the Speaker of the House in Virginia. He's a Democrat. He represents a city called Portsmouth, which is well down south from Washington, D.C., all right? The woman in the lower right with the white hair, she is the president of the Senate, Louise Lucas. She also hails from Portsmouth, way south of Washington, D.C. in Fairfax County. All right. Here they are. Listen to the dog whistle words that they use here as they're appealing for black voters to come out on this. Listen to how they frame this issue.
It's important right now in this moment in Virginia, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where the first slaves came here just a few miles from where I am right now in 1619, that we stand up in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the cradle of the Confederacy, that we stand up in this moment and step back and speak up right now. This is the opportunity of a lifetime so that we would do justice to the legacy of our ancestors, and that we would do justice to our progeny, our children who are to come. This is the time to stand up so they don't have to have that fight.
All right, so you heard it there. I'm standing right near where the first slaves in this country came from in 1619. Virginia is the cradle of the Confederacy. We have to do this for our progeny and for our legacy to bring justice to them. So this is all about race, right? Great. Righteous. Good for you. Here's the problem. Black Virginians will actually lose their voice and lose their voting power with these new districts. These two will be fine. They've got their power. They've got their influence. They're not concerned about black Virginians. They're worried about black Democrats. They're worried about Democrat power holders and making sure that they gain more power and more wealth. I'll give you an example. The 7th Congressional District, that's this one right here on the left. That's what it currently looks like. The 7th Congressional District in Virginia is the perfect microcosm of what Virginia politics looks like. For many years, it was represented by Eric Cantor, Republican. He was number 2 in leadership for a while there. Then he lost a primary to an upstart libertarian conservative who won the election in the primary. His name was Dave Bratt. Remember him? And he held on to the seat for 2 or 3 terms. But that was Eric Cantor, who was kind of an establishment rhino type, and Dave Bratt saying enough of Eric Cantor, we're going to get a good grassroots populist Republican in here. So Dave Bratt won it. Then he lost in 2018, the big backlash year against Trump, by a woman named Abigail Spanberger. That's right. She came from the 7th Congressional District right there. It's a beautifully drawn district, isn't it? On the left. Abigail Spanberger then represented, and every single time she was up for re-election, it was razor thin. It was so close. It was one of those elections where 5 days after Election Day, they finally finished the counting, and in some cases, they found a bunch of votes. So I don't know where these votes came from. Look, we got them. And Abigail Spanberger stayed in office until this last time around. She decided not to run because she wanted to run for governor, and again, a Democrat won. So it was historically Republican. Lately, it's been won by Democrats with a razor-thin margin. Why do I bring up this district? Well, I'll tell you why. Because that district has a 20% black vote in it. 20%. This is the new 7th Congressional District. Now, just understand, you just heard the two most powerful Democrats in Richmond, other than the governor. They're both black. They've got their power, and they're pulling on the strings of the dog whistles of slavery and the Confederacy and justice, and you got to do this, otherwise we're going to lose our voice because this is about black Americans and black Virginians and those racist Republicans. That 7th Congressional District has a 20% African-American population in it. The new 7th Congressional District? Well, take a listen to this ad, and they'll tell you what happens to that district.
President Obama is pushing Virginia's new lobster district map that slashes black voter share in Virginia's 7th district from 20% to just 7.5%, while flooding it with wealthy white Northern Virginia suburban voters. Pretty manipulative, using Obama to activate Democrats' base while diluting their actual voting power. Protect.
That's right. So you've got a black Democrat out there on these podcasts saying this is about the cradle of the Confederacy, and it's about honoring the legacy of the slaves. And you've got a district going from 20% black voters to 7.5% black voters.
Then the District 7 reveal goes from 20% black voters to 7.5%. Why? Because Quantico has military voters who don't march in lockstep with Democrats. We've got to take their voice away. That's what they're saying.
Oh, and why are they doing that in that district in particular? Oh, did I not mention this? Oh, that district also is adjacent to and includes part of the Marine Corps base, Quantico. It's right down there in Northern Virginia. Huge military population, or at least it used to have a huge military population. There were a lot of black voters, but a lot of them were in the military. A lot of them work at the Pentagon. A lot of them are in the Marines or in the Navy. And, well, they don't march in lockstep with the Democrats. So we've got to take their voice away. That's what's at stake in Virginia right now, and this is what they do.